So I'd like to call the meeting to order, and I guess there are only 4 people here. We haven't seen Victoria in a while. I will undertake to get a hold of her and find out if she wants to continue on the board or if she's on some sort of extended visit to her folks in Germany or whatever. So we're all voting members, and then we consider the minutes of the previous meeting. Did you all receive that?
Yes.
Did they find out the ordinance?
No, I looked, I couldn't find it.
I couldn't find it either.
Yeah.
I just have one comment that we had made some changes to the minutes of committee and they were not recorded.
Okay.
And she said it was unanimously approved, but we had made amendments. There's a couple of amendments we made.
Okay, true,
And
true. Okay,
so
I will track that down.
yeah, I was going to talk to her tonight.
Or if you can do it if you want to.
I will. I'll
Okay, great, great. Yeah.
Do I have her number? That's the best way to contact her, or what? Or email?
Email.
Email's better?
Yeah. I did find in the subdivision ordinance that it's required to have the code enforcement at any meeting having to do with the subdivision ordinance and application in front of the subdivision ordinance, but not in the land use ordinance. I couldn't find that.
Well, I think that was due to mainland development, right?
Yeah.
And there's a
Yeah, well, that's where that discussion came up was, we felt that we should have the CEO, we had to listen to that.
right.
Yeah, it's in the subdivision ordinance. Oh, this is David now. So let's quick, elect him chair and then go before he gets here.
Okay.
They did that to me in Tri-Town.
Yeah. So I'm patiently waiting for David to get here. Oh, here he is. We just elected you chair. So I was going to refuse to serve another term as chair, but Jim talked me into it.
I did?
You did, Jim. Talked me into saying I would consider if nominated. Maybe you don't want to nominate, but it's been a bad year for the chair and a bad year for the planning board. We put forth an ordinance we worked long and hard on to comply with LD 2003, and the town turned us down. And we worked on an ordinance for mass gathering. We were, and that hasn't been acted on. And we have a code enforcement department that isn't speaking to us. So all in all, it's a bad year for us. And back in the good old days when people used to take responsibility for things, I would find every excuse to resign because I had not done my job. And I feel that very strongly. I think it's a very difficult job right now. I think being in politics of any kind in the United States is difficult right now. And I don't especially feel sorry for myself as something special. You know, it's just, that's the way it is. So I would do battle or whatever it is for another year if you wanted me to. And I would much prefer not to, although I've asked everybody if they would like to be chair, and everybody has told me no. And including having Matt specially let me know that just because he wasn't here, don't elect him to anything because he won't accept it. He saw that one coming. So the election of officers is what's on the table.
For the secretary.
So the secretary is home under the weather.
Yeah.
And so Don is taking some notes, and I asked him to send the notes to the secretary to take care of it.
Are we being recorded?
I'd love to know what you'd say if we weren't recording.
No, just so she can see the recording. That's usually the easiest way to figure
Yeah.
out that. Well, I mean, I nominate Joe Pierce to be the chair. And who wants to do the secretary job, even though we farm it out? I think we still have to have a secretary.
So Don has been secretary, or are you willing to continue? Or?
As long as we have somebody who can do the minutes and stuff.
So I would, I don't know if this is in Roberts, but I'd nominate David Strzok as vice chair. And that'd be the slate.
Well, you got to say second.
I recommend.
So I think we all understand what we're talking about here. Mike, if you want to take any of those positions, you're welcome to any one of them.
Stay as an alternate, please.
And I'll just say too, I disagree that your 2024-2025 term was a failure. I think that there are forces gathered against us out there in the world, and whether intentionally or by incompetence, our best intentions have not yielded the results that we had hoped for. And I think our job is to put stuff on the table, and the town gets to decide. The selectmen get to employ people, and they get to decide what they do, and we just keep going.
I think Teddy Roosevelt would have done a better job.
Perhaps, but he also had a military.
Big stick, right?
Yeah, he had a big stick.
That would help. That would help. Yeah, definitely.
But I don't see what we've done in the past year to be anything that would be a negative. I see it as something wholly different. And, I don't view it as a failure on your leadership call.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
All right. Here.
Well, all those in favor of the slate, raise your hands.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. All those opposed, well, so unanimous. Motion to adjourn is in order.
Is anybody's term up this year?
No.
I think so.
No.
Hey,
Oh, is there any other business to come in front of us? Does anybody else have anything for the good of the order?
Does anybody know, is there something going on on Route 11 there?
well,
Well,
cut.
11, yeah, they
Yeah.
cleared like 4 acres or so.
I think it's the people on Route 11, the cows, expanding their pasture land.
Oh,
That's what I've heard.
uh,
Oh, that's great. Good.
Well, it's certainly the father I know, I forget his name.
Yeah.
Kohler.
The one that passed away of cancer.
Yeah, that was his land.
Up by Cram Road.
Yeah.
Now, my son is, I believe to be, I heard that's a rumor happened. He cleared up where that little turn.
Well, they certainly got enough money to do that work.
Yeah.
You know what?
Cleared it hard, isn't it?
Ain't anything there bigger than, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I think that's right. Oh, good. That's
Well, at
fine.
least we won't have trees coming down on the wires right in that area.
Yeah.
That should improve the road too. Keep it more dry and keep it from freezing.
Yeah, and it opens up the light to,
Yeah.
to that intersection.
That road will be improved.
They tried, it didn't work.
So I will be calling Victoria and I will be asking her if she wants to continue on the board. We haven't seen her in a while. I haven't looked through the notes. I just know she's not here. She wasn't here last week. She wasn't here the week before. She wasn't here the week before that. That's about as far back as my memory goes.
Do we have an update as to whether or not the CEOs are gonna show up to our meetings in the future?
They what? They're not
They will
coming?
not show up. Well,
Do we have a stated reason why not?
yeah. And they've stated it, which is, they've been sandbagged by the chairman.
I'd say it was the other way around, but that's all right.
Well,
I guess I don't understand.
so, they hear one thing in a private discussion, and then when Joe comes to a meeting, and he blasts them for something else, and I've seen it in emails, I can read it right through. It happens, and so they don't trust Joe, to be honest with them.
Okay. But,
And that's the bottom line, and they're not come and sit in a meeting with somebody who's not upfront on it.
So I would love to see what that is.
I can show you.
I'd really appreciate it. I appreciate it because I don't think I'm dishonest.
I can share it with you alone, if you like, or I can share it with the whole planning board.
You can share it with the whole planning board. I don't care.
We also wanted to set a session with them the other night, so we can't repeat things that were said there. We do know that, they have given their notice, so.
Okay.
We'll see.
And it's unfortunate because those people have some good experience. I know you disagree with them, but they bring a lot to the town.
What I saw on January 13 was them creating a ruckus and a scene purposefully.
what was January 15th?
That was,
Right here?
yeah, you were here. You were sitting right here and there. Everybody gathered around you and there's this big, everybody's yelling and stuff.
You don't remember that?
Not very memorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can show you this stuff.
Well, if they're resigning, I'm not sure it matters what their opinion of Joe is. So we're looking for a new CEO? Oh, okay. I mean, they, I was trying to think of something to say. It's not, I mean, Joe, from my perspective, longevity does give you some benefits of credibility. Joe's been around for a few years, and these folks have been around for a few months. And so if there's a misperception of one or the other, I would take Joe's side just in terms of longevity in general. I don't know what's the newest one? Kathy. I don't know Kathy, but Kathy, I never really interacted with Kathy, but the other one, like I just never felt like there was ever a collaborative relationship, whether Joe said something or not. Like I just never felt like there was a collaborative relationship there. So from my perspective, good riddance, and I hope we get somebody in here who we can have a relationship with, because this doesn't work if we don't have a CEO, we can't talk to the planning board like that. It doesn't work.
Honesty is very important.
I think I've been honest.
Absolutely, but like I can only I don't know what you're talking about, but I know my interactions with Mike and good riddance, you know, or not you, Mike, but the other one. From my perspective, good riddance, because I just felt like it just was not a working relationship with us. I understand that's a small part of the overall CEO's job, and going out and doing the other work is just as important. When you said they resigned, my heart beats.
That's true.
Yeah.
There's two very good, well qualified people. We'll be lucky to find anybody.
They were both dishonest with me. I think Mike is a bully, and I think they twisted what I wrote in emails, and I think they probably twisted what I said. I have seen it. I watched it happen. That's what they are.
She claims that, I mean, I know one night, one of our workshops, we both sit up front.
Yep.
At the end of the week, kind of scooted by and was talking to her.
Yep.
It was said, she claims that you said that we need to work together,
Yes, I did.
and they didn't, things would get hard for her.
I did not. I did not say that. I would not say that. I was trying to be positive. She was being obstreperous. She was objecting to everything I said was wrong. Everything I said, she found fault with. And I was just trying to say, let's work together. You and I, we can do this. We can make it work. And she was saying, just objecting to everything I was saying. And I went over there purposely. I said, boy, Mike stands up and says, we're gonna redo the maps of Baldwin, and we're gonna do it without the planning board, and we're just gonna go right to the selectmen. And I thought, wow, I'm getting steamrollered here. How do we politely, inject into this? And,
But the thing is, Joe, he didn't say that. You go back and watch the video, he didn't say that. And at the planning board, the next 2 days later, you came in and said the same thing, and I told you, go watch the video.
okay, that was just my impression. That's what the impression was.
And that's the problem. Part of the problem is that I think you take what your impression of what he meant or what he was doing, but that's not what he said. He didn't say 2 or 3 words, that whole thing. He and Kathy both just sat there. I asked them to provide us a proposal as to how they would do it. They said they would. And then we had a discussion about you wanting your own committee to address the maps issue, but he didn't say that. He didn't say what you just said he said.
Okay? That was what I heard.
And I invite everybody on the board to go check the video.
Okay.
So what is the status of the, I saw the proposal from, Terra Firma, or whatever the name of it was, $4,000 some to do new maps. Is that something that planning board's doing, or the select board's doing?
We're still talking about what he's going to do and how he's going to do it, or if he builds it. It's an update to the maps.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out how more precise it would be, because I thought they were using the same source information that Southern Maine, yada, 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 was using. So I didn't see where it was an obvious benefit to pay somebody to do that.
The other thing is they said something about charging more for GIS mapping. We have Cumberland County that was in here this week, and they were talking about, I guess it's in the contract for GIS mapping. Why can we not utilize that?
Well, Southern Maine Regional Planning already has this stuff on their computer. They don't have to go get it, they got it on their computer.
Well, what we have from Cumberland County is an overlay, I think came from the state. Some of the wetlands in it, but it doesn't match this.
Cause that came from Southern Maine Regional Planning.
Yeah,
And it's like, they don't have to go get it from anybody, they got it.
Well, that's the question.
You're not gonna reproduce that.
No, true, but, generally, it's easier to revise a book than to write it the first time.
But we may have, I'm not sure if we don't have that underlying information from that, or we could get it, I don't think it's obvious whether this is helpful or not helpful. I think there's more questions to be asked.
Well, the other underlying question has to do with what is the intent of redoing the maps? Why would you do it? And from a number of things I've heard from sitting in here and what Joe has said at some of the selectmen meetings, that map is being used as a growth management tool, not a shoreline zoning. And the intent is to restrict use of as much property as possible.
Yeah, I guess I don't hear it that way.
Well, I've heard it from you, David.
Well, we're going back to interpretation now. You're interpreting that I'm somehow pro or anti-growth or something, but what I've always said, I think, consistently is the map is totally right for the information that we have that was used to make it. But that doesn't mean.
And you weren't interested in making it better.
No, I said.
And let the people pay for it.
I did, and I take the same point. Like, if the town wants to pay for it, we can do it. It's just a question whether or not we want to pay for it, or do we want to have. But if somebody wants to have a more precise map, that they pay for the on the ground determination.
And then Joe mentioned in the selectmen's meeting, in essence, that it was a growth management tool. And I don't believe that's what the town wants, but we'll see.
You've got a lot of complaints saying, I can't build on my land.
The town
So why don't we
when-
go to LD 2003 compliance, which is gonna be forced on us, rather than push out into near waterways, which are wildlife corridors.
What's the LD, whatever.
LD 2003, where you have auxiliary dwelling units.
Oh, the ADU. Yeah. I guess I don't see the connection.
So that's the whole issue, is that this thing is kind of like morphed into something when it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be shoreline zoning. And
Right, but by nature, shoreline zoning restricts building, building around whatever shoreline is.
There's really very little restriction that's required by the state. And so, the conversation I've heard was that when this map was delivered by Southern Maine, they said, this is the most restrictive, do you want us to refine it? And the answer was, no, we don't want to spend the money, and we'll just take it. And by doing that, you have put restrictions on a lot of people's land. And by state law, you're supposed to tell them, would you do that? Because that's a taking.
So I still think,
It not just says, you can only build one house here, it says you can't build anything. And, so, that's the aim of modifying other restrictions. We have all kinds of restrictions on building. We've got subdivision ordinance, we've got the growth ordinance, we've got the land use ordinance. Those are all come together to restrict growth in town. But those are stand-up, that's what they're supposed to be. This is supposed to be protect water sources.
I think it just depends on how you approach it. I mean, I think by protecting the water sources, you necessarily restrict building.
You will to some degree, right?
So I don't think those
So
two.
that's the state doing it, not the town.
Well, the town has a shoreline ordinance in place. So, I guess for me, it comes down to a question of, does this reflect the town's ordinance? And if it doesn't, is the town willing to spend more money to create a more precise map? That's really the essential question for me.
Well, from the information I've received so far, I'm looking at it, is the map and the ordinance are not in agreement with each other. And then there's a problem of, there's a little stick, what it says up on that one's just a draft, but the one that we have on the website has a little statement underneath it that you can't really use it.
Yeah, and the ordinance says that the map
This
takes
map is no
precedence.
good.
So this is a circular thing, Bob, because the ordinance says that the map takes precedence.
I know, that's,
There's
that came
a
out from the.
statement under there on the final one.
It's right here, but it's very,
Yeah, so what does it say?
I can't
Well,
read it. Can you read that?
Give a,
No. Well, I've just read it in the last couple of days, and I've had somebody tell me that that's
this
pulled up.
map,
You can read that?
gets the streams and resource protection area of the town of Baldwin, and it does not specify details of the shoreline zoning buffers, and therefore should not be used to be determined whether a property is zoned as shoreline.
And then you got the issue, which I don't know how to resolve, but when you give somebody a permit, planning board can issue permits to people saying, we've determined by submission to you that, you the board, that there's property is not in a resource protection zone and therefore you can build. You're supposed to go change the map.
We can.
When it doesn't happen,
Should we? You want?
it should be done.
We could hire somebody to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's tons of stuff we could do, Bob.
Why don't you?
Okay, we'll ask for 30,000 next year and be able to do all this stuff. Like, the shoreline zoning ordinance is what it is, and if people want to change it, all they have to do is come in and say, we want to change it. You want us to change it? We'll entertain
I'm not
changing
sure
it.
right now that I would trust you to do it correctly. Because of what I've heard of the way the shoreline zoning ordinance is intended to be by the planning board.
Well, you should just fire us all and put new people in. You
Well,
don't
we can't
trust
fire you.
Ask us to resign. I'll resign today if you don't want me on the board. That's easy. I don't show. No, and I'm not taking offense to it. Like, I think everybody here has way better things to do than show up here 2 times a month and do this. If we're not doing what the town wants us to do, not what Bob wants us to do, but
Right.
what the town wants us to do, you can just tell me, I'm good. I mean, really, it's not that personal to me. Like, if you don't trust me as a select board to do what the planning board is supposed to do, just shoot me an email and I'll resign.
Well, I'm not sure that the planning board really is required to do the updates to the maps. But
No, but I'm serious, like, and I think it's true for anybody here, like,
Yeah.
like, if you don't want us on the board, tell us, no, we're not.
No, I haven't said that. But what I would say is that we all tend to get calcified in what we do. We do the same old thing over and over again. And when somebody comes in and says, hey, that's not right, maybe you should do things differently, there's a lot of flack that follows. And I can tell you, when I was on the planning board the last time, my goal was to help update the ordinances. Because a lot of them are woefully out of date. We made no progress whatsoever. And,
We used the wrong methodology. Had the wrong methodology, not gonna work, and that's what happened. We went to a different methodology, and we got 2 ordinances ready to go to the town meeting. One got shot down, and one hasn't gone to a special town meeting. I'd like to say something if I could.
I would say, before you go, so, that you did accomplish the marijuana moratorium ordinance update.
We did that.
That's a big deal.
So, I was looking, you were challenging about how the map gets changed, and I'm looking at section 5. And section 5, goes right after that to section 10, on the same page, so it's not a matter of going to the page. And it says, if amendments in accordance with section 8 are made in the district boundaries or other matters portrayed on the official shoreline zoning map within 30 days after the amendment has been approved by the Board of Environmental Protection. But there's no section 8. I don't get it. Bob, one of my observations, you were saying that I found something that what I'm saying that the enforcement department wanted to bypass the planning board, and you said there's nothing about that. If there's something that I say that's wrong, and I say it in public, I'm very open to being told I'm wrong. It wouldn't be the first time I've been told I was wrong. And if you have what I found to be an extremely negative point of view from the code enforcement department, you can manufacture having a hangnail into being a plot to murder somebody. I mean, it just goes out of control. And I think what you got here is a department that went out of control. And if I were advising you, I'd tell you to get a lawyer. I really think you guys need to talk to a lawyer. I really, very, very seriously think you need to talk to a lawyer.
Why would we need a lawyer?
Because Mike has been down that road before. And I can see no other reason why we're going down that road again.
They're resigning, so they're not suing the town.
So,
I don't know what the possibilities are.
going forward, all right, this is what I want to do. Instead of us pointing fingers at each other, we work together. You know, I think you guys more than capable of what you guys were, and I think you don't need to resign. You know, I think you're more capable of doing the job. But we need to get together and resolve this without, we're not Tobago. You know, we're damn, well, not to be Tobago, we're damn sure. They're always going there and stuff, so over there. But, you
It's a
know.
matter of public record.
Right. Well, it's the truth, too.
Yeah.
But this is what we gotta do.
Thank you, Jim, I agree with
you
you.
know.
I absolutely agree with you.
I think that if the gates of communication had been opened at the beginning when it first festered, it wouldn't have gotten this far.
Cause I don't know who's on with who's not, I don't care right now.
We just
Wanna
need
go
to move forward.
Yep. I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you, we should work together, and I would love it if the planning board and the selectmen can work together.
Yeah. I
Um,
know for years, it's been friction. A long time, I think since my father-in-law got done.
I don't really think there's that much friction.
You know, things that,
I mean,
No.
I know,
you know, like, you always wish you know, you all control the CEO, so it's always kind of frustrating when we have a mishap or here. So like, I don't know, maybe I'm just oblivious to it, but I mean, I don't go to the select.
well,
meetings,
I'm one occasion is, way back in Poland, something. I think Norm was to his desk or something.
Well, I'm not saying
Yeah,
that Norm Blake.
I mean.
I'm not saying Norm Blake wasn't passionate about his position. Nor am I talking about the FC's and Blake conversation. But I mean, I like, sure, there's always been some personalities involved, but I mean, I don't think we've been at odds on a regular basis.
No. Like, I mean, you know, maybe I'm being too passive. I just like to see everybody get along.
so when
Get it straightened out.
when Dwight ran for selectman, we talked about it, this running, I can't remember if he came to see me or whatever, anyway, when we talked about it, I asked him, please, to come to the planning board meetings. You know, I said, just come to one or two. Just
Yeah.
show your face, let us know you exist, because with your father and Norm and Gary,
They did.
nothing. Absolutely nothing. I only had Norm talk to me once about a vote, and that was about the tower. But, you know, I asked him to come, and now it's regular to see Bob here, to see you. We've seen Dale, you know, and I feel good about that. I think it's something that maybe I contributed to having change. You know, and I'm happy to see you guys, even if you're annoying. You know, that's always good to say, you know, hey, you should look at this, look at that. I think we should be working together. Absolutely, we should be a team.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's bad enough we get attacked by the townspeople.
Yeah,
We shouldn't be attacking each other.
exactly.
We can agree to disagree.
Right. Right.
But we've got to figure out this thing about code enforcement officers.
Yeah.
Because this goes back a ways. And we got to figure out how to talk about that.
I can say one thing right now, it's gonna cost some money to get someone back in to, they don't wanna do it cheap anymore.
Well, that's what we said for the last 2 or 3 replacements, I think. You know, and the prices shot up. I think we're paying double what we were.
Every time we hire someone, it's double.
Yeah. I wouldn't do the job for $80 an hour. You know,
No.
I mean,
Right.
you can't do
About what they're saying, they're going rate it, you hear about.
That's why I said that number, yeah.
Should it be more full-time job? You think it can call for that? I mean,
We don't see 90% of what they do.
oh, really?
Yeah, no, we don't see the inspection,
Right.
the building permits,
I don't,
what working with people on, getting the right design, like, we don't
Yeah,
see any.
right. Yeah.
So we see like big projects, yeah. Or when they have a question about interpretation.
Yeah.
Which is why it's hard not to have the CEO work with us, because
It works best.
yeah, because they have an interpretation, like if somebody asks, can I put a subdivision on a numbered road? Sure, but you only get one entrance.
Yeah.
And and previous code enforcement officers didn't know that, and so they went and did stuff, and now everybody wants to do it.
Right.
So if we don't have those ongoing discussions, I mean, whatever you guys want us to do, just give us a list of what you want us to do. It's just, if you want to do it certain ways, it just costs money.
Yeah.
And we've always assumed we have no money. I don't know.
I think within the last 5 years, there's been tremendous growth in town, so I think there's a new busy permits and.
We're heading into a lot worse.
Yeah.
It's still.
Absolutely.
Village.
And Bob, I mean, I think the town does want to limit growth. Like, I do think
Yeah.
people want to limit growth to the maximum extent possible. I think that's something that is not a negative for most townspeople.
Right.
And when people buy,
The limit of growth, is okay, as long as we do it equitably. In other words, everybody gets an equal shot to use their property as they see economically advantageous.
I disagree, because, if somebody buys property on Saco River, and they haven't figured out that the Saco River Corridor Commission is not, they have, that whole area is protected in a certain way, so they pay $1,000 less an acre because there's only so much you can do there.
We understand.
Buyer beware.
We understand that there's shoreline zoning, there's flood zone, but beyond that, I think that, the average homeowner and, people with property that's in trees or whatever might have different goals than somebody else. And, to lock that up, and limit their ability to use it, whereas their neighbor might, all they ever want to do is raise trees like Joe does. I don't think it's right. That's my personal opinion. And to forever lock the town up into trees, I think it's probably a mistake. I don't want to live in a park.
Well, I
There's
don't
no
know.
economics in it.
Right.
You
But
might
I
get a
also
few
don't
hikers
wanna-
through town, but that's about it.
We also don't wanna live in, a place that has gravel pits all over the place either.
No, you know,
Or apartment houses.
Right.
we
We want to be rural.
we have tools to limit growth. As we said the other day, that comprehensive plan review, growth is going to come, it's going to happen. It always will. Can't tie it down too much, but to do it this way,
It's interesting, Bob, I argued strenuously for a number of years.
and yet, the interesting thing is, the only reason this has become an issue is because we hired a code enforcement officer that looked at it and said, well, holy crap, I can't issue a building permit here because it's resource protection. And for what? The last 5, 7 years, nobody said a word about it, nobody looked at it. And, you want code enforcement officers that enforce the codes, but when they do, you start to get upset. And,
I argued, I tried to loosen up our land use ordinance so that in village commercial, we could have 1 acre zoning. I was even willing to go down to half acre zoning. And I was told off because it was not equitable. That if you did that, it had to be done for everybody all over town. Couldn't just do it in the village commercial. You know, we've got the LD 2003 compliance voted down in town meeting, where equitably distribute the ability to build more housing throughout town. That was voted down. However, resource protection, which at least has some sort of reason to be resource protection, wildlife corridors run up and down your streams, and it's one of the things that keeps us rural. So that all of a sudden is a place we should be building. I don't understand this stuff because it doesn't make sense to me.
A little complex, I think, than
Yeah,
the first read. And
yeah,
I've looked at maps of other towns, and there's actually more to it, I think, than what Southern Regional Planning Commission presented.
that could very well be. We were going for the cheapo model.
Well,
And if we could take any money off of that, we would.
Do more, but and that's why I'm not in favor of going back to them, because I think that perhaps they didn't understand the business. I've looked at maps from a number of different towns, and they're different.
Have we asked them to give us everything they have,
Who?
Sunday Regional Planning? Like if they have any other, resources that they created as part of for Baldwin? Like whether there's an electronic map,
They've given us that.
But electronically,
Yeah, we've got it in PDF.
I wonder if,
And
I just wonder if there's something more, that's all.
Bob, I think where the requirement for the planning board to be involved in the map situation is that the map is part of the ordinance, and we're involved in developing ordinances. I think that's where it is. I looked for it in the ordinance, and the part referred to is not there.
Or 8,
No, section 8.
or here,
What are you looking, land use ordinance,
in the shoreline.
shoreline zoning?
This is easier. That's the next page.
Okay. My copy is outdated, that's why it wasn't
This one was taken
in. You printed it off?
on the website.
Ah, okay.
anyway,
Well, if anybody wants to continue with this rambling conversation, please do.
Oh, it's been insightful for me, it's been helpful.
I guess while we're on it, looking at it from the code enforcement officer side of it, there's really not a good documentation process. And we saw a little bit of it with White when he was here. He came back looking for his CUP, which I guess hadn't been signed for several months. Why that happened, I don't know. But what the code enforcement officer got was on the front page. He didn't get anything more. And, there's a log that David did, which was pretty good, but it hasn't been updated. I don't know who's responsible for updating that.
I guess I am, everybody else is, so my
But I
son,
went-
will be here in the summer, he should do it. He's the one who did it first.
So here's the, we got into this discussion about the CUP for, I don't know if you folks keep your own log of CUPs somewhere. But there was, normally when you do a CUP, there's supposed to be, findings of fact, along with the CUP, supposed to all sign it, supposed to deliver a copy to the select board. But it's not to be found, and, so when you find fault with the code enforcement officer for doing something, and the records aren't there, they get a little hot under the collar.
Yeah, and I investigated the was it White, right? What's his name? Tom
White, yeah.
White. I investigated that situation a little bit because I fully agree that was not done in an acceptable way. That CUP wasn't completed in an acceptable way. And if you want, we can have a conversation about why, but we're on camera, and I don't feel comfortable telling the world why, but there's a unique situation there.
Yeah, so, the issue is, seems to have gone downhill with, in terms of the record keeping.
And I think that's in part why we want to have somebody to help, because it did suffer for a while.
Yeah.
And maybe the board needs to focus on that history and get that book back up to date, so we're back up to snuff. Now that we have Carrie who can help keep us up to snuff. But I think there's definitely, I would agree with you that there was a period where the board didn't document the way it should have. But I don't think that was a historical thing. I think historically we've done it right. It's just for a period of time it wasn't done right.
Back in the old days when we did things with the hand and the pen, I know we had a great system. And, it was the manila folder, and you assign a number to it. I forget what they were, but you assign numbers and put them in the folder and put them in the filing cabinet. And every once in a while, every 10 or 15 years, we'd get a filing cabinet we could lock. And after a while, somebody would jimmy the filing cabinet, and files would disappear. That happened a number of times in my experience. And then David came along and introduced us to computers, and that helped a lot when David was controlling that. And then David left the job of secretary, and things kind of fell apart. I know I, as chair, have not been able to describe the system or tell people how to use it, because it's not what I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we can spend some time and just like the book. The book is this effort to get everything back in line. So, with
along with the inventory of subdivisions. One code enforcement officer for approving a lot in a subdivision that he wasn't aware of. Well, he should have, but it wasn't an inventory. And we went around and found, I myself discovered that I lived in the subdivision. And
predates most of us.
And even me, your subdivision predates me. I wasn't aware of it.
yeah, and these are documentation issues. And,
some errors are more understandable than others. That's kind of a matter of degree, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think with Carrie, I think we're back on the right track, and I think she's going to be able to do what we need to do to get organized. But the observation's not the answer.
And I agree that everybody comes and serves to, serve the town. I think for the most part, townspeople appreciate it. We know that hour and a half, 2 hours every other week, more on some people's part, like the chairman, gets involved in all this stuff. I don't know.
30 years, 100 meetings a year. I miss 1 or 2 every year. But that's,
30 years ago.
well, next year, I came on the board in 96. I moved to Baldwin in 94, and by 96, they asked me to run.
I don't know how long I've been on it.
You're just a kid, you've only been on 20 or 25 years.
2010?
Right, 2010. Right around there. Maybe like 10 times that. Move to adjourn?
Second that motion.
All those in favor, we're adjourned. Jim, I think the key